I mean, like I said, I like to come in the middle of a conversation, so let's just talk about something random.
Okay. And then we'll start the timer, and then we'll be the official start.
Yeah, I'll get it to a point where I think it's suitable. Like right now.
I think that's what you decided was right now. I was literally about to start talking about something else.
Okay,
yeah, sure.
No, I'm that guy. All right, welcome to the Blue
Clips podcast.
You're gonna do it next time.
I'll do it next time.
Don't
worry.
Yeah, you're doing it. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm pretty fluent.
I'm Frank Joseph Hall.
Tyler D. Spence.
And I'm Darius Crosley.
Cool. So, I have a topic for us, boys.
This week.
Ready to drop?
For us this week.
So, spoilers. You know, it affects a lot of culture, I would say, at least artistic culture. When artistic culture is about stories and stuff like that, video games, anime, comics, movies, all of those have spoilers.
Yes.
That's the main overarching topic. The first question I want to ask is, do spoilers ruin it? If you know a spoiler before going into something, does it ruin it for you?
Okay.
Depends on what the actual thing is.
To note on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, by the way, we're talking about spoilers. So you can assume that at some point
we're gonna spoil something.
Some things, right? Like I'm about to do right now with my example, most likely, whether they permit it or not. So
we're putting a spoiler.
It just depends on how I think.
I will try not to spoil anything from the past year.
I think it just depends on how bad. I think it's how bad the spoiler is.
Right.
Like I think the depth. Like I think when you say a big spoiler, for some people they'll believe it right away, and then for other people like me, they won't believe it right away. Like for example, when The Force Awakens came out.
Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, you could say that.
You know, when The Force Awakens came out, and everybody was telling me
The
that.
Force Awakens.
That's the 7th. That's the first one of his new trilogy.
Okay, so I have seen that one. Got it.
That when everybody was like, "Oh, Han Solo died." Han Solo died. I was just
no. Here's the thing.
I was like, I didn't find
the second he signed on for that movie, I knew he was dead. Because I'm like, Harrison Ford hated playing Han Solo. He wanted him to die in episode 4.
Yeah.
He hated playing Han Solo, and so when he signs up and he's happy about playing the role, I'm like, oh, they killed him off. So I knew that going in. No one had to spoil it for me. I was like, and so they got to the bridge scene, and it's like this wide shot of him, and I'm like, oh, this is where he dies. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like the grab for me, I was like, no, he won't die. I don't think he's gonna die, and then he dies. I'm like.
But so that did it ruin it for you?
No, because I didn't believe it. But once again, that's I think it's the gravity of the spoiler. If it's a believable spoiler, like for example, Infinity War.
I think no, we'll be fine. Honestly, if you haven't seen Infinity War at this point,
you're a filthy cat.
You're not gonna watch it.
I will only watch it whenever someone forces me to watch it. So.
Oh man, no, that's too much work. That's like 5 movies worth of watching stuff because we have to gear you up for Infinity War.
That's true.
Go.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go.
All right. So and when Infinity War, with knowing that Marvel likes to pull a lot of content from their previous content, knowing going into Infinity War that someone was going to die and that the amount of people that did die in there, I think if you went off on the list, if
you had just told people here's who dies,
yeah, they would.
I agree because that to me is significant. I went in going in thinking one of the main is gonna die.
Yeah,
and what they did instead by killing literally half the universe, which was a brilliant move because it pulls the rug from under you because you expect someone to die, but you didn't expect that many people or those people in general. And I think to me the bigger surprise isn't who died but who lived. And it's the fact that all the original lived, and that's what's
and I think the reason why that kind of spoiler ruins that movie is because just from the media of that movie alone, you know that the whole point of the movie is people dying.
That's to me that's the climax.
Exactly.
It's the climax of the movie if Thanos is the main character, he's trying to get all the Infinity Stones so he can wipe out half the universe. That is that is the point. The snap is the ultimate peak of that movie.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you ruin that.
Yeah, if you ruin who goes when he snaps.
Versus if you say Ebony Maw dies via getting shung out into space, that's not as big of a spoiler. Technically, it is one.
But it's not quintessential to the movie.
Which once again goes back to my whole bit about it's got to be the gravity of the spoiler.
But I would argue some people would say the Han Solo spoiler is a huge one.
Once again, it's
It depends on what your attachment is to the movie.
Yeah. So
Most people who went to go see Force Awakens were huge Star Wars fans before.
Yeah.
So knowing that Han Solo dies before you walk in the theater
Probably ruins it.
sucks. It ruins it because you're like, well, I get to see this character again, and it depends on how they feel about him dying too. It's so many different cases.
like for me personally, like I like the original trilogy, but like I wasn't like, if you ask me, I'm one of those filthy plebeians who like the episode 1, 2, and 3.
I mean, prequels
That's
were
fair.
okay.
There are some. I would say this. I probably quote those movies more than any
the
other
original trilogy, yeah.
because they have some bad lines that are fantastic. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating. It gets everywhere.
But that's the thing about spoilers though, is that it's so case by case. And like, for example, what I was going to bring up is, I've recently gotten a PlayStation 4 and I've been trying to catch up on a lot of games I didn't play. One of them being, and since it's depending on what.
It'll come out in January, so I think we'll be fine.
Anyways, the game's old. It's called Until Dawn. Came out in 2015. And I had never, played the game before.
Have you seen any coverage of it before?
I have, and I have seen some of this. I saw what was essentially what I believe to be one of the biggest spoilers of that game. Is you think it's this like, I like to think of it. Yeah, I like to think of the movie as you are the director of a B-grade slasher horror film.
I'd argue C, but yes.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing is.
I don't like horror films in general.
Mm-hmm.
So. No, I'm never touching that game.
Yeah,
no, it's
a good game.
It's like the sequel to Heavy Rain in some sense.
It's made by, I don't remember if it's made by the same company, but it's that same sort of control scheme where it's very controls based.
And it has multiple different endings.
Because it's all about the butterfly effect. Like every time you make a choice, it directs the course of the story. Because
dude, there was one choice in there that I was surprised.
Now, to be fair, I'm only on like chapter 3 isolation, so they've just gotten to the house. They're like about to use the spirit board.
Has anyone died yet?
No, not yet. But I've seen how people might die due to the totem system in that game. But one of the biggest spoilers for me is that I know that at like the end of the game, like the final standoff is between basically whoever's left in the cast and like a Wendigo or whatever it's called.
Wendigo,
yeah. And that's because I don't know.
Because you assume it's this like slasher.
Yeah, you assume it's this like mystery man. There's a whole tab of collectibles about the mystery man.
Yeah.
Like you hear, like even in the second chapter, you're exploring the house as one of the characters, Chris, and you go up to the second story, and you've been hearing news clips about how there's some wanted dude. He was in jail for like 16 years because of arson and death threats. You get up to the second story of the house when you're exploring, going to the bathroom to try and find a way to melt ice off a lock. And you can go into this side room. And you hear a voice recording, like someone made a phone call, and it's the police calling that, like, because it's set in like this mountain.
Yeah.
The dude
isolated mountain ridge
with a bunch of horny teenagers. Yeah.
Yep.
So
perfect setting for
a slasher film. Yep. But the thing is that it's the guy who. The guy who's brought them all together again, his sisters died last year at the same place. It's like the anniversary.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
his sisters.
Yeah, his twins. Yep. His twin sisters. So they died last year. The bodies they're still clarified as missing. But anyways, you hear a voice recording call, and it's from the cops talking essentially to what would be this guy's mom, being like, well, he's out of our legal hands now. We can't do anything, about him. There's nothing legal. We can't stop him. We can't permit him from going to places.
Yeah.
So I know that's not the news you wanted to hear, but call me back or whatever. Because no one's been up here since their death.
Yeah,
this place is practically abandoned. Yeah. But anyways, the spoiler that there is a Wendigo. Now, to me, I don't think it ruins the game. It comes close, but the problem is, or not the problem, but the best part is that I don't know how we get from slasher
to that.
It's weird. So the journey is like the better part, because I already have some theories about what's going to happen, because like I said, I'm only like chapter 3. I get the feeling that the guy who brought them all back to the house is like he's plotting to try and either kill them all or bring them closer together because of some traumatic stuff or whatever. So you're going to have like him doing crazy shit. You're going to have you've already seen images of the slasher dude and like, certain totems of like, I've seen a character literally getting punched in the face by this masked guy, like Danger or whatever.
It's funny.
And then I know at some point there's going to be some crazy supernatural element too. So
it's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've now, like we're talking about spoilers, I don't think that the spoiler that happens has ruined it, because I think getting there.
To me, a spoiler for that kind of a game is where the characters die
Yeah.
because their choices.
Because then you make the choices.
And having seen some of those choices, I don't want to tell you which one leads to death because
that's the whole point of the game.
that's the whole point, is that your choices matter.
Because the way I look at it is, once you figure out how the story plays out, I think the best part about
But
that
I feel
game...
like there, at the same token, I feel like there are some games that, like, in terms of like the video game genre, especially with games like those, it's very hard to spoil games like that.
Well, yeah,
because
because
of, like,
it's...
alcohol
Okay,
and
but no, so
stuff
so if we're going to go back even older, if we're talking about Heavy Rain,
Oh, Heavy Rain.
there is a spoiler that ruins that game.
No, we can't.
There
Have
is-
you played Heavy Rain?
Have you played Heavy Rain?
Bro.
Do you ever plan on playing that game? Do you have any interest
I
in
might
playing
play
like
that
super
game.
story
I
time?
might play the game on hindsight.
I'm
but-
planning on playing like Beyond Two Souls. That's the game I haven't played yet.
So
So
you're
it-
playing 4 characters,
Yes,
and
you're-
you're trying to find the origami, or as they pronounce it, origami.
Origami Killer.
Now,
Now here's the thing.
they specifically take young boys and kidnap them, and so you have the main. You have
the main character who's both...
I know the premise. I know,
One-
I
yeah,
know the
Ethan.
premise.
You have Ethan, Jason, or not Jason.
Ethan, the woman who was played by, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, you have 4 people.
One of the characters...
You have a father whose son goes missing. You have
Yep.
this reporter chick, I guess. I don't know what she was.
I
don't
know,
remember.
you're talking about the female, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have an FBI agent,
And then you have a private investigator
who's talking to people who
have been involved
like
in the past.
the mothers
Mothers of kids who've been kidnapped
and
before.
and the father went missing for some reason.
Right.
As the game goes on, you find out that the origami killer forces the father to have to go through insane tasks.
you know Saw movies. Like essentially like that, like
No, get back here.
but
Get back
even
here.
upped a little bit.
Get
But it's
back here.
actually crazy. No, but here's the thing.
If there's a
I would
point where I try to leave at any
No,
point.
it's more realistic than the
It's-
Saw
yeah, it's
movies.
more realistic
It's
than
like
the Saw
driving through traffic
Backwards
in the
for a certain
wrong
amount of time
lanes.
with the timer attached to the car.
It's attempting to kill a man.
There's a whole thing about cutting off a finger. And like when
You can choose which
finger and everything else.
Which item you use?
Yep.
Do you use disinfectant or not? It gets intense.
So, but the big spoiler of that game though is that the private eye that you're as one of the main characters is the origami killer.
Yeah, you find out in the flashback that his brother drowned in a drain and his father wouldn't go to save him, so he ends up doing that to other kids.
He literally sticks them in drains, and that's why it's called Heavy Rain, is because the amount of rainfall
determines how long
they have left to live.
Before they drown.
Because they literally stick them in a drain until they drown via rainwater.
So yeah.
So that I think
here's the issue with that. It's a cool twist and it does ruin it if you know it, but to me, that twist ruins the game. Because here's the thing, I'm playing Shelby as this guy who wants to help out the people because that's how he's introduced. He wants to help out these widows.
Yeah, he
But the
even
problem
I
is
think he
if-
even prevents like I think he comes. I remember
At one
the scene
point,
specifically.
at one point, the car goes off and into into a pond or a lake or something, and you have the option of saving a woman. Now, if he's the villain, if he's the murderer, the smart thing to do is to leave her to die because it's like, oh no, I barely escaped. This only witness is dead.
See now, I don't. But see, here's the thing.
You don't know
Here's
that.
the thing is
So
that
I
I don't think that the twist ruins the game. I think the twist is great because I think the fact that it's a very good subversion of, what you're saying. It's the same reason. It's the same thing that they did with Indigo Prophecy, which was the game that came before this. It was called Fahrenheit, I think, in other places. So the game before that, the main character that you play as almost the entire time, the dude, he has like amnesia or something, and he is also the killer. So the themes are very similar between that and Heavy Rain. But I don't think that Shelby being the killer is like a bad twist. I think it's a great twist, and I think what's better is that you got to choose his actions because it is a subversion, and the only way that they're going to pass that off is to do that. Like you can't. Like if it was one of those things where you played Shelby for most parts, but when it came to key decisions like that, the game just
then it would be pretty
obvious. But the thing is you come up with all kinds of different things that it makes it more compelling because it makes you feel for that character. Like I remember the one scene I remember the most from Shelby's stuff, aside from like the end of game stuff, is he comes up in the house. It's like one of the first Shelby scenes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He comes up to a house to go and talk to a widow. And he gets there and like the baby's crying and stuff like that. So he breaks down the door, he gets in the house, and he finds that the mom like has she's like slit her wrist and is in the bathroom, like in the tub, like with just bloodied wrist. So he pulls her out, saves her, everything else. And it's like, I think what it does is it builds a more compelling case for that character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like the twist ruins it, because then you do exactly what you're talking about. If you know he's the killer from the
You
start,
don't save the mother.
you don't save the mother. You do what the killer would do.
Which actually there is a trophy for that. It's
Yeah, I
called like
believe
the
it.
perfect crime.
Yeah.
Where you get an ending where he walks away, like every loose end is tied up. It's very
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, which is why I like. Well, one of the things I like about Until Dawn is once you play through the very first time and you realize what's going on in the game, the best way to look at that game is like you're a director of a movie.
Yeah.
Because you make all the decisions that get people killed or not. So you can decide who lives by the end of the movie.
And what's a better story.
And what's a better story. You can decide who dies. You make all
Who
the
tells
decisions
their
in the
story.
game.
Sorry.
Exactly.
I had to make a Hamilton reference.
No, but like you can literally go like there's a way to make it so the entire cast lives, and there's a way to make it to where I think only one character lives, but it could be like any of them because none of their deaths are like they have to happen. I think
No. You
Yeah.
can make it to where all of them survive.
you can make it to where all of them survive, and you can make it to where all of them die.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, it's
I don't know
super
if you
easy
can
to
make-
get to that one.
I don't know if you can make it to where every single character dies. I think at least one character has to live.
Nope.
You can.
Mhm.
You can just wipe out the whole.
Oh yeah, you can.
cast. Yeah. So that's why I'm super interested in playing it because once I get through my first playthrough, I can't wait to go back and start looking at it as if I'm directing a movie and
Okay.
making choices that seem more interesting.
So depending on the spoiler, it could ruin it.
Correct.
Now, is there ever a time where a spoiler actually makes you interested in something? So for example, My Hero Academia. I never would have watched that until I saw a video that was explaining the themes of it and like specifically the relationship of All Might with Deku and how the whole point in like they explained in the tournament arc, the main character does not make it to even the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
He fails immediately. And it's this idea of like it's a subversion of this, and I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting.
So now you
and so
wanna
then I
watch
watched it, but I knew like the All Might twist that he has a weaker form, and all of these things. And then once I got to season 3, when I was caught up and I got to season 3, then I started to experience it with everyone else, and it was engaging. Some twists got revealed for me by my own stupidity. So then I caught up in the manga, and boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Man, that went places.
Yeah.
And I feel like and another example, Sixth Sense is the perfect example of a twist that makes you when you watch the movie a second time. So in The Sixth Sense, you have Bruce Willis, who's this investigator. He talks to this kid who's like, I see ghosts. At the end, you find out his character was a ghost the whole time. And so then you can go back and watch it, and every interaction makes sense. Why is his wife not talking to him? You think at first it's because she's mad. No, it's because he's a ghost and he's not actually there.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I feel like certain twists like that might not be per se bad. So have you guys ever had a situation like that where a
Have I
twist...
ever had something spoiled for me, and then in that case, I then wanted to watch it, whereas
Yes.
I wasn't interested in it before? I'm trying to think of games because that would be the best example for me.
A lot of anime actually. Like I won't watch Death Note. I stay away from mainstream manga, as I've said in the first from the first one. But like I know about Death Note. I know like all the endings and stuff like that. It like some of the different twists and stuff like that have made me like interested, and it's made me want to go watch it, but simply because of my stigma and rules.
Because I feel like if you have
I stay away from things like that.
I think the anime is
be
pretty
like
good.
I find it very interesting between like this cat and mouse game between Ellen. And
Yeah,
Light.
that sounds like a cool dynamic.
And, like
for sure.
Well,
it's a very
yeah.
like the dynamic definitely seems very interesting, but
I mean, you know
And,
what
like,
happens, right?
I know what happens. Like I know in the end, Ella ends up winning / losing. But like the thing about it is that I'm trying to get it out my mouth. The thing about it is that I know when I find out Elle's plan of how he actually like wins and not Light's plan of how he actually like beats Elle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of how he like gave the notebook away, lost all his memories, and then just came back to this one critical moment where he finally gets the book back and writes Elle's name in there, and it's just like ha ha ha.
That was the thing that killed that show for me. I
When they killed Elle?
I stopped watching after they killed Elle.
Yeah, because they brought in like these two twins that were L Light.
Yeah.
You're gonna turn that up. Thank you.
but yeah.
I'm keeping that in.
Games that I've played where I've had it. See, that's the problem is that I go so out of my way to avoid spoilers, especially for games because
Yeah. No, I I think, see, what my thing is, if it's a good story, if it's well written,
You know, I can think of a game
if
actually.
it's good and well written, knowing the spoiler won't make you not enjoy it less.
Yeah. I can think of a game actually.
Like Infinity War. Going back to that,
You keep
I
talking while I
think.
look up the title of this
Okay,
game.
I think with Infinity War, while that twist is very important to the story, there's so much more to that movie. The interactions of characters, the comedy of it, the emotional payoff of certain things, character arcs and whatnot. Like I feel like,
definitely.
you know what I'm saying? So like that's the reason I saw it 3 times in theater. Same with Captain America: Civil War. I love that movie. It's probably my favorite Marvel movie. Like, oh man, like just how well executed that movie is, especially the airport scene. I feel like the airport scene, if I had gone in knowing that would happen with like Giant
Civil
Man
War?
in Civil War, like I didn't know about Giant Man. So when Ant-Man's like, I got something big, and I'm like, what? And then he turns into Giant Man, I'm like, what? Like, that was amazing. And like, I'm glad I experienced that, but I also feel like how well executed that scene is, I would love it. I love it every time I watch it. Like, literally,
but
I'll be like, I'm rewatching
Like,
Civil
that's one of
War.
the more disappointing. Like, I feel like, and going back to Civil War, I'm gonna get off track now. Going back to Civil War, I was so like, as a big fan of like the comic series,
yeah.
like I was so disappointed that they could like. They brought Black Panther in with a lot of people not knowing who Black Panther was in general.
Oh, you're talking about the. Well, no, I feel like in Civil War it keeps to his character well. I think the Black Panther movie is the one that you're not as.
No. I felt like with Civil War they finally introduced Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
There were so many, and they finally introduced Spider-Man too. There were so many other characters that they could have introduced.
No, I think introducing those 2 huge ones is enough.
Oh, I think they should have went big. I think Civil War, if they had played Civil War right, if they had introduced enough characters,
Who?
that would have been like they could have.
Because you can't introduce anyone owned by Fox.
Well, you don't have to. There's just a load of Marvel characters.
So yeah, who would you have introduced?
Like they could have finally brung Daredevil in there. They could have gone. They could with their whole tying universe and stuff like that. They could have done like the Netflix
Well, I think
series.
I told you about this.
They could
So they said the reason they can't tie the Netflix shows in with the movies is because they're made at such a different pace and time than each other that it's hard to know where one character is when stuff will come out. So like you could have Daredevil in it, but which Daredevil is it? Is it the end of season 1 Daredevil? Is it the end of season 2 Daredevil? Is it the end of Defenders Daredevil? It's completely different depending on which one you do. And in that, like, so with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the reason that show fails is because they have to react to the movies. They can't be their own thing. So like, for example, when Winter Soldier came out and it was revealed that Hydra was in S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time, the show had to react and adapt. It made it better because it became this spy thriller of a secret, like secrets and this and that. But because they had to react, it makes this process much more difficult. Now that they're getting rid of a lot of the Netflix series, maybe they can start introducing those characters.
But I felt like, at least in my personal standpoint, like they could have run Daredevil.
So aside from
Iron
that
Fist,
though, is it still good? Did you not like Civil War? I don't know if we could be friends.
It was good. Like I said, it's just like.
I always said that reluctantly. It was good.
I'm disappointed.
I had to be disappointed. Okay, we can hash it out in one of our fights later. You can take your anger out on me with your
That's
controller.
so sad. You found it yet?
No, I have not. Yeah, I can't. It's Okay.
What game?
It's fine if you can't remember.
I can't remember the name of the title, but essentially it is a third-person military shooter
Okay.
from like
Spectre Ops? Is it Spectre Ops The Line or something like that?
yeah, Spec Ops: The Line. That's
Spec Ops The Line?
Yes. So I think knowing the spoiler to that movie, because I
Yeah.
watched in-depth reviews, or not movie, the game, watching in-depth reviews on that game made me want to play that game.
Yeah, no,
Because-
literally same thing. I was not. It looks like a generic shooter.
That's the whole point, though.
But then when you hear like, oh no, it's about his PTSD and
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
fact that he's creating all of these scenarios
Yes.
to make himself not feel like
And
a
like
villain.
how and how his squad mates literally at some points, like, because I believe at some point they die and it's just him, but his squad mates are still there in his head. They're
that
like
sounds-
different parts of him. There's like the guy who's always like,
Yeah.
well, we got to do the mission, we got to keep going.
And yeah,
And then there's the other
other-
guy who's like
if you-
questioning everything.
If you don't know that twist, you wouldn't want to play that game because it looks kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's that, no, I get you. Like, for example,
It's
with
like one of the only games.
with
I can
Call of
think
Duty Black Ops, the first one, they had the advantage of it being a Call of Duty game.
The numbers, Mason.
No, but
what
they,
are the numbers?
They have the advantage of it being a Call of Duty game, so they know people are going to buy it. So with the story, they can do something more psychological and
Which
pull the rug out from it.
completely different side note. Treyarch is the only company that can save Call of Duty.
Yes.
Activision keep on making them make games.
Fun fact. Black Ops 4 is a good game. No, let anyone else tell me otherwise.
But no, I like Black Ops 1 because it was the Victor Reznov one where it ties in with World at War, has Victor Reznov in it.
You can, by the way, you can unlock Reznov and play as him in Blackout. Fun fact.
Cool.
You can unlock as him. You can also.
But
play
I also love.
Menendez from the second
I don't
one.
care about Menendez.
So
Give me
what's funny-
Mason.
You can
What's
play as
funny-
Mason.
I'm buying it.
So
Okay.
what's funny is you can play like I played Black Ops 1, which made me want to play Black Ops 2, and Black Ops 2 is its own thing. I feel like you have to spoil the fact that Black Ops 2 has choices in its campaign,
Yep.
which is vastly different from every other every other Call of Duty game. In every other
Yeah,
Call of
that's
Duty
what-
game, it's like maybe a choice of like left or right. In this one, it's hey, do you attempt to shoot your comrade to keep your cover hidden, or do you attempt to kill the bad guy who's right there? Which do you do?
Yep.
And then depending on your choices. What I love about it is that you make these choices that you think mean nothing, but at the end of the game, stuff goes down, and it depending on your choices, depend on what happens. You don't then make one final choice. You then have everything happen. And if I had like that's amazing. And that's another spoiler where it's like if I had known that my choices in the end don't matter in a different way than I thought. If it wasn't the Mass Effect idea of like you make a big choice at the end and that affects the next game.
Yeah.
If I assumed it was that, but no, it's you make a bunch of choices and then at the end you see the dominoes. If
Yeah.
I had known that ahead of time, I probably would have been like, okay, which is the smarter option? But
Yeah.
instead, I would went with my gut instinct each time, and then I
Yeah.
got a really cool experience.
I think and another game, and on topic of games that I've had spoiled for me that I haven't played that made me want to play them, the new Prey.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I watched a good hour and a half, like 2-hour analysis, I think, on it. I can't remember how long the video was. Going through every bit of that game, and it just made me want to play it more because I had played the original Prey, and we all know the original Prey wasn't that great. It was.
Oh yeah, the new one I hear is really
The
good.
new one is
I hear it's real
super.
good.
It's got some flaws. If you don't like loading times, don't play that game. But if you call it world design, the world design in that game and everything else is phenomenal. And knowing what the spoiler is, like, do either of you ever plan on playing Prey?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Unless the spoiler makes me want to.
Right. Which like it did for me. So essentially, the way you're playing the game, you're playing it as either male or female, which is funny that.
I'm done. Nope.
No. It's
Can't do
funny.
this, nope.
It's
Nope,
funny.
can't do
No,
it.
it's funny because the only thing that it influences is the voice actor for your character, who's a silent protagonist.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So you're going through this whole game, and it starts off with like this wake up sequence or everything, and you go in a helicopter and you go do some testing, and you go through these really strange rooms.
And then these knockoff facehuggers happen.
Oh no! The way it goes, sort of, yeah. So you go through these really strange tutorials that don't make any sense. Like, just do what's natural.
Yeah.
Take there's literally you're in like an empty room, and they're like, try and hide, and the only thing that's in there is like a chair. And you have like these other ones that are like do like these certain jumping things, but it seems like it's a tutorial for like you play in the other game. So you get to way later in the game, and you realize it's actually the very end of the game.
Yeah.
What you realize is that everything that you've gone through is a simulation of what's happened on that
In the
spaceship,
real- oh.
and you are actually one of the Typhon, the alien race or whatever that's like wiping out humanity. And what it is your brother, who has been characterized a certain way and you've been working with in the simulation, actually has you captured. And the whole point of the simulation is to see if we can get a Typhon to be like a human.
Ooh.
And so,
Oh, that's
and
good.
Prey has
That's
a ton
good.
of choices in it. And all the choices you make, who you survive, what side quests, like, so for example, there's a point where you're playing the game and there's a dude who's like, I'm gonna like kill your brother and blow up the space station, whatever. You have the choice of just killing him. You have what he does is he knocks out the air system in like a certain section of the ship where there's a bunch of survivors. So he's like, you have to go do that, and then you can finally confront him. And then when you confront him, you can just kill him, or you can like stun him and knock him out. And then even after that, it takes into account that you've done that, and then it's like, okay, how are we going to get his body to the ship that we're going to? And you have to account for that too. But all the choices you make are your brother essentially analyzing to see how awful your Typhon is, because there's a whole upgrade system too. You can play the whole game with no Typhon powers whatsoever, because as you go through, you get upgrade materials. That's why you stick the needle in your eye, and you basically get Typhon-like stuff. Because the whole theme of it is that what's happening is he's putting you through tests by injecting these typhoids in you and wiping your memory and pulling them back out. It's like a little like you can gain abilities from these, but as soon as someone takes them away from you, you lose all memory from when you had it inserted. So like say someone is a master at playing piano, you could transfer that ability to someone else.
But that person.
But no, and the other person's fine. But if you take away, they lose all, like, say they get that ability to play piano, like, beautifully.
In October.
Yeah, in October. And say they go 2 years, and you pull that back out, they lose all the memory of that 2 years as well.
Okay.
So they're essentially putting you through tests, and that's what the beginning of the game is it's those scientists trying to get you to be like a Typhon. Like, why they put a chair in there is because your natural instinct is to turn into a chair to blend in.
Interesting.
Because there's a whole mechanic with like the faceless you were talking about. They turn into different objects. And like in the beginning of the game, it's super like on edge because you never know if something's going to be one of those or not.
That's cool.
But like hearing about all that and then wanting to actually make the choices myself and see how all those side quests played out, because they talked about all the options and stuff, but it's not the same as experiencing the game, which is why I like Let's Play so much.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between playing a game and then just watching it.
No, that's interesting.
So that's the other game I can think of that like the spoilers for that game and like what's going on and the twist at the end made me really want to play it because that story seemed really interesting and they did a really good job with world design in that game.
So side note, I thought of 2 games where this is done and I was mad. So like spoilers can also make you obviously not want to play a game in the reverse of that.
Yes.
So Mass Effect Andromeda and Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I didn't need Andromeda.
Both of those 2, I didn't play either, but I know the endings of both of them.
I do not know. Okay, so we're talking about Odyssey.
I
don't want to be spoiled that because I still want to play that game, even though
Assassin's
you
Creed,
have.
Okay, so Mass Effect Andromeda.
I didn't need a spoiler to know Andromeda was going to be bad.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about Andromeda. What I assumed is you had the ability to create what both you and your sibling look like. You know, you have a male and a female.
Yes.
You can create what they both look like, and they both are like that in game. So I assumed, at some point, the character you choose dies, and you play the other sibling.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been interesting, where it's like just that swap of like, now you're playing this character instead.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. It just turned out that sibling's now possibly evil.
Yep.
And it's like, oh. That's lame.
I mean, hearing about all the stuff that happened with Andromeda, you'd know that game was gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a whole different.
All right,
but
but finish that and then we got the next.
Never know. Go ahead.
No,
I mean,
okay.
We and him have almost led this whole thing.
I was gonna go like on the side
specifically?
note. Like I was gonna go on the game side. I was gonna go like side note wise. Andromeda has the best gameplay of all Mass Effects.
Yes,
I haven't played it.
Does, but that doesn't make up for the fact that it was
crap
written like horseshit.
Minor detail.
All right. So spoilers can ruin it. It can also make you want to watch and or play.
Real quick note though, did you say that the spoiler you learned for Odyssey made you not want to play it?
Kind of.
Well, I mean, like I got it, and then I ended up doing.
You ended up spoiling it for yourself.
I ended up spoiling it for myself.
That's the worst.
And what ended up happening?
You already had the game.
I already had the game, but I went ahead. Like I found this, YouTube is the enemy of the universe.
Yeah, because literally, hey, game comes out today. Here's the ending.
Dude, I saw a video that was like 2 hour just free roam of Red Dead Redemption, no spoilers, and I was like, nope, I don't trust it.
Yeah, there's some things where it's like you literally want minimum. So Bad Times at the El Royale, that is a movie I don't want to tell you about.
Well,
it's a movie you should watch, and that's all I'm gonna say.
What is it called?
Bad Times at the El Royale. It's no longer in theaters, but when it comes out on DVD, we just dated this.
That's fine.
When it comes out, I'll maybe force to comply, but probably just make you watch it because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It has Chris Hemsworth in a good acting role.
Hell yeah.
I know.
About it.
And mostly shirtless, so. It's weird. Well,
Yeah.
technically, he's not shirtless. It's complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah, it's convoluted.
So, my next question about spoilers. So we said that spoilers can both ruin an experience and make you want to experience something. When is the appropriate time to talk about spoilers?
Okay.
So let's start with.
I think there is. You have to give. I think
it depends on the media.
It depends on the
Okay,
movie.
let's start with film then.
So if we start with film,
So let's
Start
say
with film and
let's
everything
say
has to
a
be-
movie came out this Friday.
okay.
If they came out this Friday, then
Like it's been a weekend. It's Monday at work.
No.
no.
Okay,
I
what, at what point?
think you get once again depending on the media, especially with film.
If we're talking about film?
Like if we're like it depends on how big the film is. Like for example, Infinity War. If you have not seen Infinity War by
I literally give it a month.
By-
If you haven't
month.
seen Infinity War in a month, then you
then
are either not going
I-
to watch it or you're waiting.
I was saying, I think
like for when Black Panther came out earlier this year, like I didn't watch. I didn't
I
watch
could
it.
go technically watch it right now. I still haven't watched it. It's on Netflix.
I was saying I have it on. Yeah, it's on DVD.
Like and when Black Panther came out, like I'm just gonna go ahead and go there. As a black person, had you not seen that?
You're black.
Right?
Whoa.
I'm gonna go there. Like I think as far as like Black Panther, like
As a cultural impact.
as like a cultural impact kind of thing. As a black person, had you not seen that movie by the
Yeah,
end
there's
of
no way you couldn't.
like as a black person, had you not seen that movie by the end of February, it was like really.
You would probably be like ridiculed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You sure that's you?
yeah, right.
Oh, I didn't realize you're white now.
right, literally.
I didn't realize
Dude,
that.
I remember
I didn't
going
realize
to
you were
see
racist.
it. I remember going to see it with a friend of mine, and when we went, there were people dressed up in like African garb going to see that movie, and I'm like, oh, this is the part of the culture I'm not gonna understand. I'm gonna enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
But
get
that,
this,
so that's
this out of
but
it.
that's the so for film, for me personally,
A
if we're
month.
talking about big releases, I give it a month.
If
That
it's-
gives someone enough time to plan to go to the theater and watch it.
So
now,
here's me. For film, I would say, depending on how huge it is, if it's a huge release like Infinity War, most of my friend group who want to watch it will have watched it within the first 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like in
Well, that's why
But then let's say I meet up with someone and I'm like, have you seen Infinity War? No. My next question is immediately, do you want me to spoil it?
Yeah.
If they don't, then I'm like, then I'll be like, just watch it.
Yeah.
That's
That's the way it all should be. But the problem is with.
But I would say 2 to 3 weeks before I openly start, and even then I'd be like, hey, everyone who hasn't seen it, we're gonna talk about this.
Right. Well, yeah, and
So that's film. Let's go to gaming.
okay. So here's the thing.
Games,
Here's the thing about
Because
games.
gaming, let's assume
Here's-
this game is 40 hours. 40
If
hours
we
to play.
assume this.
So I would say for games, because games are
Depends on the spoiler.
yeah,
Depends
depends
on
on
the
like
the kind of game. You can't really. I mean, you can
'Cause I
spoil.
feel like-
here's the thing: the difference between spoiling whatever version of a story there is in Soul Calibur 6,
Yeah.
compared to spoiling what happens at the end of Red Dead Redemption 2.
No, I would say what happened.
Those are two.
but
yeah,
wait,
depends on the-
essentially
it
different spoilers.
Yeah,
But
like
here's the interesting thing I've noticed is that obviously games take their time with how a story progresses. With Red Dead 1, literally the only thing I remember is the ending.
I remember most of that game.
it like for
So.
games, I would have to say it just depends on the gravity.
If we're talking about giving a baseline for all games, and when
That's
we're
tough.
openly able to talk, I know, but if we're trying to establish
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of like we did with
So
film,
month for
a film. If I'm saying games, I give it all the way to like 6 months because, well, first of all, games are more expensive
Yes, they are.
than
Yeah.
than watching
They're
movie
time
in theaters
consuming.
or whatever. They
And
more
games
time
they
consuming.
are definitely more time consuming.
It takes a
I
lot
would
more
no,
time.
but I
to-
wouldn't go as far as 6 months. I wouldn't go as far as 6 months. I give it like 3.
Yeah,
I
could
feel
see
like the
that.
people who really want to play it, 3.
Yeah.
Well, okay, people really want to play it
like for
a month.
for like an extreme for an extremely popular game like Red Dead,
3.
I'd give it 3. For like an extreme, for like a lesser popular game,
niche
like
game.
for a lesser for a popular game, but like a lesser known game, like Soul Calibur 6,
Yeah.
then I would give you 6 months.
Yeah, because that's like, oh hey, or God, what are some recent games that have come out? Like Black Ops 4 doesn't really have a story, so
Yeah.
there's not anything to spoil in that game. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, here's zombies, here's
Here's
Alright.
multiplayer.
TV series, anything that's a series where it's like episodic week after week.
Oh, 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
To talk about that episode or to talk about the series? Because here's the thing.
Okay,
I will not.
episode,
that's different.
episode,
Here's my thing.
episode, because that's exactly what I was going with in my head. Episode, I give you 2 weeks.
The series as a whole. Like, are we
Here's-
talking about after
here's
it's
my
wrapped
thing.
up?
Yeah, after the final episode of that season.
Okay, so as the final episode of that season, like when you get to the final episode of that season, I'd say, I'd give you a month. half of like
Month and a half.
month and a half.
Now here's my thing. I will not spoil a series while it is running because a lot of people will be like, "Hey, I'm watching it, but I'm only on episode yada yada yada."
Okay.
Every time-
Which brings me to the Netflix series.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
Because it's
think
different from
I
what they release.
yes that
Because they release everything at once. I would say still a month. I say the second the series ends, month.
I think it depends on how long.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I don't.
Oh yeah,
cause
if
I
it's
don't-
like The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Just
'cause
don't.
here's the thing, because I don't know how long on average are all of the more recent Marvel Netflix series like. I'm talking about episodes.
Those are hour long. Those are
No,
all hour
they're
long.
an
Like
hour-
an episode is it? How many
What was the
episodes in a
season
season?
Daredevil? Was it 13 episodes again, or no? Was it 7?
It was actually
So
like
it's
11.
so I
11?
guess it's somewhere in the ballpark between like 8 episodes
8
and
to
like
8 to
11 or
13.
12, 8 to 13. Okay, so that's 8 to 13 hours of media that you would have to consume before you are finished with the series, right?
Correct.
Right. If we're talking about Netflix series where it's all released at once and you can watch it all at once, I would give it I'd give it a month and a half, maybe 2 months. I'd give it a little bit longer than film because film you only really to experience it have to watch it once.
Correct.
Not if you want to openly discuss and talk about final details, but if you're talking about spoilers specifically, I'd give it a month because a movie is at most 2.5 hours at the most.
Yeah. Unless
Yeah.
you're gonna watch Titanic.
Right. but that's the thing is that with the Netflix series, like I said, that's a lot more out. Like and I know we are binge culture. Everyone is perfectly fine with watching an entire Netflix series in a day. People do that all the time.
We will not be doing that. Sorry.
But
I
so
can't do
Speak for yourselves.
Yeah, dude,
that's how I
right?
got
No. I mean, our content will not be
binge, yeah, no.
like people will binge it after it's come out, but we're gonna do it weekly.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not
But
gonna.
so I would agree like a month and a half, 2 months because of the amount of media. That's why I said almost 6 months because sometimes people's work schedule only
Yeah.
lets them play a game.
I was
for
saying
2
we
to
are
3 hours,
Yeah.
maybe a week.
If
And
you're
you also
lucky.
have to think about the fact that maybe that they want to play other games too.
Like normally, like when I was working at an old job, like I used to be able to play games like all the time.
I think
I mean,
it depends
work-
on the
I
job.
can beat
my
I can
job
beat a
work-
game in like I can beat a game in like 3. I can beat a game
Also
in like 3
depends
days.
on,
Like
if you're
with working when I got Spider-Man, it took me. It took.
Didn't you take time off for Spider-Man?
I didn't take time.
He's
off.
taking it off for Kingdom Hearts.
I am. I am. Don't judge me. I know like at least I know a good majority of you. I know you Kingdom Hearts fans. You guys are taking time off
I'm off too.
You can't deceive me. You can't play me because I know you because I am one of you.
I see you in the crowd. But yeah, that's why I give like.
But like for at least for Spider-Man in my work schedule, it took me a week to beat it.
Yeah.
And
That's not bad though.
How many hours on that save file though? Do you know off the top of your head?
I didn't even look at it.
Is
Too
it
many.
is it above 40? Is it like
Oh, I'm
closer
sure.
to the 60 mark?
It's got
Or even higher.
because I'm
Yeah,
part
I know you're
I'm part
100% everything, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many hours it took me to beat the game, but like it took me a week to 100% it. There you go. Because it took me a week to 100% it. There you go.
Yeah, that's ultimately what the issue is what is your job and how involved is it?
Yeah, and
don't even
And do you have other responsibilities
Exactly.
such as family, kids?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of older people, like because I play a lot of Destiny 2, and I have a clan of people that I play with. But the thing is that a lot of them are like they have kids and a wife, so it's like we only get like 1, maybe 2 days a week where we're like, hey, we're gonna go try and do the raid or whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so and
Wait, why didn't you add me to your clan yet?
I don't know why I haven't yet.
Yeah.
They're not. I haven't been playing Destiny 2 that much. It was more the main reason.
I mean, that's the thing. I think people
But I wanna get back into the grind.
people are
again.
always going to make time for the priorities that they want.
Yeah, that's why I don't sleep. That's why when I have trouble sleeping at night, I'm like, hey, that's a real nice PlayStation over there. I get some more time in.
Listen, man, and then for me, it's like, oh, hey, that looks like a really good anime.
Alright.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay. I think that
So
month for film.
months for film.
6.
We said 3. I can
3 to 6
agree.
months
I
for
could, depending on the
game.
size of the game. Yes, 3 to 6 months to give people time to buy the game, play it, and everything else.
And then for
Month and a
TV.
half, 2 months for a series.
Yeah.
We've agreed if it's episodic, kind of like a Walking Dead or
You
whatever.
are respectful
Give it-
until it ends.
Yeah, you're respectful until it ends, but if you want to talk about people in your circle who you know are also watching it, you know, or I'd give it like a week.
I would say
that
that's to
episode.
me. That's why like viewing parties are always fun because then it's like we all just saw that together.
Yeah, exactly.
I
You get
know
to
you saw that,
experience it.
Tim.
Yeah, you get to experience it raw like
Yeah.
that, you know. But yeah,
Like I remember watching Daredevil season 1 with one of my roommates in college, and that was nice because it's like, bro, remember that, bro, and then they cheated on me. They watched it ahead of time. I'm like, oh, you monster!
scumbag. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I feel about the guy.
Is there anything else on spoilers we want to talk about?
Yeah, we could do a best of worst of.
But favorite spoiler.
Favorite spoiler you've ever gotten ahead of time, and then a spoiler that
you
absolutely ruined whatever it was that.
I gotta think of my worst.
Yeah, take a moment.
Oh, that's tough.
Best spoiler that I've ever.
Because I could say my best easily. It's the My Hero Academia one because that made me watch that show.
Right.
And that makes me love that show. Oh, it's the same with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I got a few spoilers about who certain characters are ahead of time, but then I'm like, okay, well let me watch the show, and I'm like, this is one of the most well written shows ever. Like I love that show. So like I would say those two are my favorites just because they yeah.
Yeah. Best spoiler that I've ever gotten.
It's tough.
Yeah, because you never think spoilers is best, right?
It's again the ones that make you want to play something
Yeah.
or experience
Well,
it.
and it's also there's some spoilers I've gotten while in the process of a game that made me want to play the game more, which is what I didn't really talk about. But that actually will probably be for my favorite spoiler. This is gonna sound really out of left field. The spoiler for what happens at the end of Red Dead Redemption. That was spoiled for me.
Really? Because
Yes.
I feel like knowing that ahead of time makes me not want to play the game.
No, it made me want to play the game because I want to see it.
Because I haven't played the game and I only know that
Because,
spoiler.
well, and here's the thing: is that what it is that I didn't know at the time when it was spoiled for me. I was like, still in the starting of the game. I was still like cattling horses or whatever, cows or whatever.
Okay.
So for me, when you just hear, which you said you haven't played it, but you know
But
the
I know the
spoiler.
spoiler,
You
yeah.
played Red Dead 1, right? No.
Do you care?
Do you care? Do you plan on playing Red Dead 2 at all?
I'm sleeping.
Red Dead 2 is
Sorry.
technically a prequel.
Is it really?
John Marston's in Red Dead 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So spoiler for Red Dead 1. He dies at the end.
Like, shot to death.
Yeah,
That's what we were
that's what we're talking
saying.
about, though. But I'm saying that when I was playing that game, I was still in the beginning when I was like, cattling up cows or whatever. So I wanted to be like, how did we get from this to? Because I knew what the game was going to entail. I knew that there was going to be like train heist and all this other stuff, and like, I knew that it was about John Marston being a criminal. But
Yeah.
like, it made me want to play the game more because I wanted to see how it happened. And then when you see how it happens, when it's like him in the future, his kids like grown up, and then what I didn't have spoiled for me was the little
post-
bit of gameplay after that,
Yeah.
where you play as his son that's the same age as Marston, and then you go and you find the guy who ordered it.
And you kill
You
him.
literally kill him in Mexico, like right on the border, I think.
I
He's like out
think-
there like chilling or
Yeah, what's your
whatever.
favorite spoiler? That's like
Ooh.
that. What's a spoiler you've gotten that is like great and it makes you want to experience that thing?
It's hard because like
I think I know what my worst spoiler is.
Oh, I have a symbolic worst spoiler. I can give a physical example, but let's hear his best.
I'm just gonna need more
it's
time
so
to think.
hard.
Yeah, I need more time to think there.
The one that made me want to watch something.
Yeah, like that made you want to watch something or
Or
play
experience
something.
it, yeah.
And you got spoiled ahead of time. Because I know what my worst spoiler is.
Same. We can
I
get
think
back
my
to
best. Well, I think my best one is Rave Master. It's an anime slash manga that the anime ran for a little bit and then they canceled the anime and ran the manga for the manga. Someone spoiled the someone spoiled the manga for me at the end, like the actual ending, because I got to the end of the anime and they spoiled the anime for me and I was just like,
I gotta read.
Now I have to read this. Worst. I can easily say. It's a symbolic worst, but it's the spoilers that make you disappointed. It's like
Yeah.
so I remember when The Purge came out, I'm like, that is an interesting concept. The idea of like people can do whatever they want for one night and not have like all crime is legal.
I go still.
That could be-
I go still
that's-
switch.
Like to me,
Yeah, that's what I'm
no,
saying.
but like to me, that's such an interesting and like I was gonna enjoy seeing what creativity they did. And so then my friend comes and I'm like, oh yeah, how did it end? He's like, oh, The Purge just ended. And I'm like, wait. What? And he explained, and I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
So like it's the spoilers where it's like you get told something, you're like, that doesn't make me want to watch it. That makes me glad I didn't watch it.
Right.
Like with there's a movie that recently came out where I heard a spoiler that happened. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't see that.
You're talking about Venom, aren't you?
No, Venom I wasn't gonna see regardless.
I hate you so much.
I'm sorry.
Man, the opinions on that movie, it's so weird because from what I've been told, because I never went to actually look up reviews, everyone said that critically it sucked.
Yes.
And then every single person I've heard of that's watched the movie is like, the movie was pretty good.
So the critics' consensus is the ones who like it like how crazy it is.
Yeah.
It's not well made. From a technical standpoint, which is what critics are do, they're like
Yes.
they look at the over structure of it. They look at the
Right.
Basically, how Frank looks at things.
correct. Well, no, I have blinders for most of the Marvel movies.
You're
I'll
just like
admit that.
Marvel.
Except Ant-Man. I haven't liked either of those. Anyway,
You know how much I didn't know about Ant-Man is I didn't know they came out with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like,
you're not missing much.
I was like, that's a thing?
Listen, you're really not missing much.
So what's your physical worst?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Is The Purge or like movies like that where I'm like, you have such a creative premise
Yeah.
and you soil it.
Yeah.
Like you just ruin it. Like you come up with like any M. Night Shyamalan movie is like that where it's like, this is like almost any M. Night Shyamalan movie where it's like Signs where it's like, oh, this sounds interesting. It could be an alien. Oh, they're allergic to water.
I like that movie.
That makes sense.
I like that movie. That movie's dumb.
Let's go to a movie. Let's go to a planet that's 75% full of acid, guys. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, stuff like that. Those are that.
Yeah.
Worst.
Worst spoiler that I've ever gotten.
So me, it's when I'm. Yeah, I guess it's also a best, but yeah.
Mass Effect 3.
Oh, because
I had the ending spoiled for me.
And that
before I
makes you
got
not
the
wanna
ending,
play it,
and
right?
it made me. Yeah, it made me didn't want to finish
That's
the game.
fair. That's fair. See, I still go by the indoctrination theory, even though
Still the worst ending in all of gaming.
if you go by the indoctrination theory, it's actually great.
Oh yeah. of
Because the
course.
idea that he got indoctrinated by the Reapers and
Yeah.
that they like when he gets to that point,
I know.
I love that theory because I'm like, because it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
No, but like having that spoiled for me when everyone was like the ending. You don't want to get there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, you're right, because at the time that was when I was,
because I love
especially when I really
two's still
believed,
my favorite. though.
especially when I
Two is-
really believed in the internet. Like,
2 is still a brilliant game.
Yeah.
My worst. Oh god. There's so many things that have been ruined for me.
How about
The weeb culture is just so ruined.
How about what about in terms of worst? Like, what was something that just like gut instinct? What was something you were really extremely excited for, and then it was ruined for you?
Or someone gave you a spoiler and you were pissed off that they gave you that spoiler.
Witcher 3.
Witcher 3? Yeah.
Witcher 3.
I could see that. I don't know. I haven't played those games, but I have a PlayStation now, so I should. I've heard nothing, but
Just get the complete edition.
yeah,
Just get the
that's,
complete edition.
yeah.
I bought it on Xbox and I played it on and I played the base game and I still want to play the DLC. I haven't watched anything
Anything
for it.
on it,
I
yeah.
haven't watched anything on it. That's really
I really you know, that's yeah, especially those games because
that
there's
and
so
because
much
I
in
want to
those
just
games.
like I want to get my cat armor and I just want cat armor.
Yeah, so that's
Listen.
our worst and best.
Listen, in The Witcher, the reason I say cat armor is because in The Witcher they have different schools of each Witcher.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm like the school. I gotta get the school.
I had a friend who was playing a D&D character that was based off
Yeah,
of,
the Blood Hunter is the Witcher basically.
Yeah, but they were playing specifically a character from Witcher that they, you know, not the exact same, but very much based off of it. What's her name? Basically, not female Witcher, but does it start with a C? Siri? Something close to that. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, sure. I don't
But
know.
yeah.
Played. All right. So I think that was a good talk. Spoilers can be both good and bad.
Yeah, depending on
Yeah.
the medium, depending on when it's handed to you, depending on the type of spoiler, it's all sort of case by case. Random note, what since we're talking about spoilers in general, we'll just go down the line, what is the movie you are most excited for that is coming up?
2019. All right. Oh, that's tough.
Or is already out and you haven't seen it yet for whatever reason? What are you most excited for?
Probably the next Avengers one, because that is going to be like the wrapping up of everything, and I am excited to see what they do. I feel like that's another movie. I'm going to see that opening night, like
Yeah.
Thursday night,
Yeah.
just to be sure.
Any movies that have either come out you haven't seen yet or upcoming that you really want to see?
Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3. And Kingdom
This
Hearts
is a
3.
movie
Yeah, no. To be fair,
Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom
mine's
Hearts.
a
Fun fact: here's what happens at the end. The friendship wins.
Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3.
I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 is one of
Kingdom
those
Hearts
ones
3.
where it's like we all know what's going to happen, but how is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3.
movie that
Movie, anything.
yeah well okay, if we're talking about games then
Could be anything,
I'm not on the Kingdom Hearts train unfortunately. But anyway, no, movie that came out really recently
Listen,
that
the
I
anime
want to
community probably hates me. Listen, so the Kingdom Hearts community hating him, that'd be nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
see. Here's the thing: is
They have Kingdom Hearts.
my answer was way more basic. I really want to see the new Halloween movie
Oh, really?
because all I want from that movie, and this is how I.
I'm not going to say anything. I have heard spoilers about what happens, and I'm not going to say
This is how I
anything.
rationalize it. I've heard light spoilers, and by that I mean nothing actually spoiled, just talk about the movie. All I want to see from that movie is Myers kill people and Laurie Strode be a badass. And from what I've been told,
That is
both
what
those
happens.
things happen.
See,
So that's all I want.
ironically, going back to my example of worst spoiler, hearing a spoiler on how that ends makes me not want to see it.
Yeah, but and I know that there's like, from what I've been told, that sometimes the story goes in like weird
Oh,
tangents.
bro, I've been
watching.
watching videos explaining the Halloween movies. There's like 7 different timelines.
Oh really?
There's like literally 3 timelines. It's at one point he's a part of a cult, and then they retcon that, and then they go into like this.
Yeah. I just, like I said, all I wanted from the movie.
There's like 4 different timelines for the Halloween.
I think my dad wants to go see it too, so I'm trying to convince him to be like, hey, let's go see it, because I want to see Myers kill people, and I want to see, what's the name of the actor who does Laurie Strode?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. I want to see Jamie Lee Curtis do badass things.
At the age of 60.
At the age of like 60, and I've heard that both those things happen in that movie.
Yeah.
I've been told, essentially, the only light spoiler I've been told is that Myers is almost like a main character in that movie.
All right.
Again?
Apparently, we cut off at some point, and we're just gonna do the outro here. Well,
Yeah.
sorry. Again, we're learning all of this as we go.
I believe it cut it off with Kingdom Hearts 3, and that's all you really need to
Kingdom
know.
Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3.
So Kingdom Hearts 3, Halloween, and the new Avengers,
New Avengers movie.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right. Well, this has been the Blue Eclipse podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Spoilers. Leave all thoughts you have about spoilers. Any sort of like.
And if you don't want spoilers, probably don't go in the comments.
Yeah, because people will probably spoil things in the comments
Yeah.
too.
Just scroll down. Just scroll down.
Yeah.
Just
And you know,
We're sorry.
like, subscribe.
we're those guys, so
Yeah,
just scroll down.
it's okay.
Take care.